everyone, Erin here. Welcome back to the Impatient DIYer. Today I am bringing you two more awesome home decor items. These are both wall art items and I really hope that you guys like them. I really like how they turned out, so we're gonna jump right in. This video is part of the Chic for Cheap February Craft Challenge, which is hosted by Christi and is being co-hosted by Crafting with Cass this month. The object is to take some ordinary items and make them look chic for a budget. So let's go ahead and get into my items. The first one we're going to be making is this cute Scribble heart frame. So I'm going to be taking this frame that I got from Walmart. I believe it was like $2 or $3. I've had it for a while. And I am just going to be opening this package up and I'm going to be taking out the frame of this. So this frame is actually really thin on the front and it's not what I was going for. So you are going to see my adventure in taking out the backing of this so that I can actually reverse this frame and use the thicker end or thicker part. If you see things popping in and out of this, I was doing this at my fiance's place and he didn't understand that you cannot come into the gray part or you will be in my video. So I started out using a utility knife, but then I decided to switch it up and just use my trusty Crayola scissors. So here you can see I got the bracing part out super easy, cleaned it up a little bit with the utility knife, and then I went on to get out the two hook parts of the back of this frame. So what I ended up doing for those, you're going to see here, is I just took my utility knife and pressed down on the two edges because it's kind of hollow. And then I folded those two hooks and they popped right off. So this may not be the best for you utility knife, but it was my fiance's. So we're just going to go with it, okay? He doesn't need to know. When you fold those off, it does kind of leave a blank space there. So what I did was I took part of the bracing that was on there and I just cut it in half, then trimmed that a little bit and hot glued it in there so it wouldn't look as blank. I later went through and filled this up with hot glue actually and just used some Sharpie marker to color on that because I decided to do that after I put the frame or the picture in, and I didn't want to get black paint on my picture. Not my best moment, but I was impatient, like always, so it worked. So here you can see just with that bracing in there and the hot glue, so that worked out really well. I then just took the cardboard backing of this photo frame and I'm just going to be painting it white. I just used some regular apple barrel white paint in a foam paintbrush and just went in on it. Now you will see that this cardboard piece does start to kind of bow, but really all that I did once it dried was I bent it back into place and it worked really well. I didn't think that it was going to work, so I'm really excited that it did because I didn't know what I was going to do if it didn't, honestly. So I ended up doing 2 coats of the white paint on this and it just covered really well. So, and the nice thing is the back part of this is black, so you really don't need to clean up too much on this one. It just kind of is professional looking as is, well, until I put the hot glue on. So I'm going to take this plate and cut off the edges of it really quick. And then I'm going to be making the guide, if you will, for my heart out of this. So first I was going to try and freehand the heart and that just wasn't going well. So this is what I decided to do to make my life easier. I just cut a heart out of this plate. I'm going to kind of mess up my heart a little bit. You can see I'm going back and forth trying to make the shape that I want. I wanted to make it a little bit bigger, and then I don't know what I did there, so I just kept cutting and cutting away, and then I finally just decided, you know, we're going with it. and I went with what I had in the end. Um, but perfectionism, it's an issue that I need to work through. So here you can see this is what I went with. I took some painter's tape just to tape this down, put a little roll under the top part of the heart, and I just took this paint marker, I guess it is, that my fiance had. He really likes to draw, so I just kind of took what I had on hand and just started scribbling. And the picture that I used for my inspiration was this canvas from Kohl's, and it looked like they did it all in one shot. I was not going to be able to do that at all. So I just kind of started filling in the blank spots, filling in the spots that looked like they needed a little bit more, but trying to start that scribble on a line that was already there so it wouldn't look like it was starting out of nowhere, so that maybe it would look like a kind of continuous line. I don't think it looks too terrible in the end. I think it looks pretty close to what my inspiration piece was. So I'm actually super proud of how this turned out in the end. So here you can see, not too bad. I went in after I took off the stencil and just kind of fixed some parts around the heart that I felt like needed a little bit more. Other than that, that's this one done. I just hot glued it back into the frame, and I really, really like how this one turned out. It was super, super simple to do. Almost no dry time after you do the heart because it's marker, and like the paint dried super, super quickly. I didn't even need to use my heat gun to dry the paint in between. And $114 to essentially $3 plus some hot glue. That's pretty darn awesome. Really proud of how that turned out. And like I said, I want to do it for different holidays and different colors because I really, really like how this looks. And this is it hanging above my desk now. Our second project is this cute little choose happy sign. So I'm going to be using these wood pieces from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm also going to be using this apple barrel paint. I also am going to be using this white apple barrel paint and my Waverly Antique Wax. Of course, tons of different brushes because I didn't know what I was going to be using, and something to put your paint in. Always important. I'm also going to be using tacky glue to put those wood pieces together, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to use tacky glue or super glue. I ended up using tacky glue and hot glue actually. So the first thing that I wanted to do to make it look like my inspiration project was to take my cutting mat from the Dollar Tree and start cutting off some of the corners because the inspiration piece had that and I didn't want this to look rigid. So I started off with my utility knife, then decided that I hated how long that was going to take me, tried my trusty Crayola scissors, that didn't work, went back to the utility knife, and in the end, off camera, I just used my tiny little saw and sawed away for like 45 minutes to get these to look how they are. I'm then taking my sanding square from Dollar Tree and I am just getting all of the rough pieces off. I'm also kind of sanding down all of the edges because like I said, I didn't want this to be like a perfectly square looking item because my inspiration piece wasn't. So I wanted to just give this a little bit of a rougher look, if you will, just not square, not perfect edges anywhere. So I just went on to each piece. I first sanded down the corners that I cut because those were super rough. And then I went around all of the edges to make sure that it just kind of had a nicer look. So after I did that, I'm going to first go in with my teal apple barrel paint. I apologize, I don't know the name off the top of my head right now, but I will put it in the description box below. First going to use a small foam brush, decided to go in with the big guns to go quicker. And I think it went so much quicker. It was great. So I really just ended up doing one coat with this paint, and you will be able to see some of the light board through it, but I really liked how that ended up looking. Um, I feel like in the inspiration piece that I had, you could kind of see some of the wood grain um, under the paint. So that's kind of what I was going for. So I did a coat on the top, and then I went around and did all of the sides because you will see some of that after this is done because it's not a framed piece. So after I finished doing that, I came in with my Waverly Antique Wax. I really, really like this stuff. And I just went around all of the edges and kind of tried to give it that distressed look that my inspiration piece had. This is my first time actually attempting to distress anything, and I think I need a little bit of work on it. I went around all of the edges and then I went back through with a paper towel and just kind of wiped some of that off. You'll see here, I kind of think I should have left it a little darker, um, but I think it looks okay in the end with all three of them together. So I'm taking my square that I got from Dollar Tree. I love this thing. It is heavy and it is great. And I'm using that to just square up my pieces, and then I'm going in with my Aleene's tacky glue in between each of them to stick them together. Now, for some reason in my head, I thought that this was just going to be all that I was going to need for this, and I don't know why I thought that. I'm wiping off the excess glue using paper towel after I use my fingers, and this just was not sticking. So I'm using these jumbo popsicle sticks that I either got from the Dollar Tree or another dollar store near me. You can get them at Walmart as well. Flipping this piece over carefully didn't work. I don't know why I put it on top of the popsicle sticks because I didn't want to put it in the glue strip you see there actually is probably why. And so I needed to get my square back out and square these back up. So you'll see there that I'm just kind of putting everything flush again with this square so that it is a square piece. And I'm going to take those jumbo popsicle sticks and use those to brace the back of these pieces. So I'm using my hot glue gun to glue those popsicle sticks on there because I really wanted a sturdy hold, and just having those popsicle sticks and the hot glue really made this piece super, super sturdy. So I'm glad that I went back in and did that because that tacky glue just, I wasn't gonna hold anything. I don't know what I was thinking when I thought that that was gonna hold something. Um, so I did do two just to make sure that it was super sturdy. You could use like regular popsicle sticks that you could get at the Dollar Tree. I think that that would work fine as well, but I really like the hold on this one. So after I got that really, really held on there well, I'm going to work on the words for this inspiration piece. Now, this one says choose happy, and this is really just kind of how I try and live my life. So I really like it. So I went with a pencil and started in the middle and worked my way out in the two words. I feel like I should have taken more time to do this. I also really, really, really dislike doing hand lettering. So I don't know why I decided that I was going to do it again this time. Maybe I'm just trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. I wish I would have just done a Cricut stencil, a Cricut vinyl sticker, something. I don't know. I took this chalk pen thing that I've never used before and tested it out on a paper towel. Was like, this is gonna be fine. Um, I don't know, tested it out on my mat too because it's a silicone mat and it's just gonna come off. Um, I don't know what I will use this for in the future. Kind of just looks like a crayon, honestly. It probably looks great on a chalkboard, but I was just not excited about how this turned out on here. I also didn't actually follow my pencil letters, so I wish I would have erased my pencil letters first before I did this. Um, So I'm just going over this with some white paint because it also didn't brush off. I didn't feel like painting it over. So in comes the white apple barrel paint, which was actually my original idea. And then I found this pen crayon thing. I was like, ooh, something new. We're gonna try this. Yeah, I wish I just would have went with my first idea on this one. I also wish that I would have stuck to the letters that I drew in pencil because that's why I drew them in pencil in the first place. I don't know how much I'm going to be hand lettering things in the future. If you guys have any other ideas, because I don't really want to use my Cricut all of the time for all of my projects. If you guys have any ideas of what else I could do, let me know. Went with a little bit of teal, cleaned up some of the letters, but this is how it turned out in the end. I'm not super upset with it. But yeah, I think it turned out okay. So I just took some jute twine that I had left over from a couple of my Valentine's projects. It's got that little bit of sparkle in it, and I just hot glued this to the back. I always like to put a little bit of hot glue on there and then press it down with these like silicone finger protectors that I got from the Dollar Tree. I always tug on it to make sure that it's secure, but I think that this works really, really well. I don't like piling on a lot of hot glue because if I want this to sit flush with the wall, it's gonna have that like bubble of hot glue in the way. So I like how this turns out in the end. And after I just kind of cleaned it up, this is it for this project. And from 40 something dollars on Wayfair to this, I think this turned out really, really well. And this is it hanging above my desk. I just really like the lighting above my desk. That's all for those two decor tutorials. I really hope you guys like what I brought to the Chic for Cheap challenge, and I hope you guys stick around. Bye for now.